Have you ever noticed that there are some gardens that look absolutely amazing, while other gardens just sort of look okay? Well, there's a very good reason for that, and I want to share a secret that I know on how to make your garden and mine absolutely amazing. Hi, I'm Sonia with Suburban Gardening, and I do this every week. I do it a couple times a week sometimes, but there is something that you can do in your own garden that will make it look amazing. It'll take it up to that next level. I love to spend time in my garden. So when I come outside, I usually arm myself with a couple of things. A pair of gloves, my clippers, usually my sunglasses, and my visor. And pretty much that's about it. Now today we're going to be doing a couple of extra things just because I want to show you some few things. So I also have a few other things that I use. This is my little cart that I wheel around the garden on those bigger days when I'm going to be doing more work in the garden. Nothing heavy and nothing hard. This is just a little small maintenance that anybody can do, and it will make all the difference. I guarantee you all the difference. I do have my BT in here in my Hudson sprayer because I've got some budworm issues I want to show you about and how you can spot it before it gets out of control. I always keep a pair of scissors. I have some extra clippers. I've got my plastic gloves to work with my BT. And then I just have a few things down in here, like I have my plant tone. I keep it in a little container so I can just sprinkle it. There's a couple of plants in my garden right now that are looking a little stressed. So I want to show them to you so you know how to fix them super fast. Really, really easy. And then I keep clips and some other things in here just so I don't have to keep walking back and forth to my nursery and then back out into the garden again. If you've ever heard the term deadheading, I highly recommend that you follow me along and take a look at this. Deadheading is super critically important. These flowers that we so enjoy and why we plant all these plants to get these lovely flowers, well, they're making seed pods. And those seed pods, once they start to come out, they take all the energy away from the plant, and we don't want that. So we need to cut those seed pods off. There's several different ways to do it. I'm going to show you on several different plants so that you can do it on yours and have tons of flowers instead of sort of tired looking old plants. I'm just stepping out my back door and I'm looking at these beautiful impatiens here. Now this is one of the things that makes a garden amazing. Pull off these old flowers. That'll absolutely dress this plant up a little bit. But let me give you a good shot of some seeds on here. Right about here is a great one. So right here, this beautiful little flower is making this lovely little seed pod. As soon as that drops off, I'm going to pinch that right off of there. You can see I did it there. Let's back up. This one, another seed pod. Here's a perfect example. This is making a little seed pod. The flower already dropped off. All I'm going to do is pinch it with my fingernail. Whoops, got a flower with it. And that's going to keep this plant wanting to make more flowers. The other thing I do when I'm out here is I kind of clean up my window box because they're so beautiful. Let's head out here in the garden. Right here is a little rosebud. And I don't know if you can see them or not, but it's covered with aphids. Now, this is how I treat aphids, and if you're squeamish, look away. But I just squish them. I just squish them, and now I'll go wash my hands off. But that pretty much takes care of them. Now, I have wrens in my garden, little birds, and they love to eat the aphids, so I try not to kill all of them, but I do quite a few. Now, just looking over this basket, I can see there's some dead leaves. Just pull those off. We don't want those on there looking so bad. These look pretty good. These gazinias are looking sensational. But can you see this one right here? Let's see if I can get in the shade. This is a spent bloom. And all that's going to do is try to make seeds. So I'm just going to take my clippers and I'm going to go down as low as possible without cutting off a bunch of leaves. And I'm just going to cut that guy off of there. That way, this plant can just keep growing flowers. Here's another one. You can tell when they look all weary. I'm going to get in there low and cut him off. Now, they won't be trying to make seeds, and it just will make beautiful flowers. This beautiful pot full of geraniums that I grew from a seed, as you can see, these little flowers are all finished. So I'm going to cut right up here at the top and get rid of those. They're going to go to seed, and they're going to cause a lot of stress on this plant. I'm also going to get rid of these leaves that are looking kind of messy. Now that just makes the plant look nice and fresh and beautiful. Don't be afraid to get out here with your clippers. If you clip a little too much, it's okay. The plant will come back and make more beautiful flowers and leaves for you. I see a rosebud almost ready to open. That'll be the first one of the season. Okay, so I just walked up here, and here are all my seed trays. Now I just noticed that they need water. They're getting a little dried out. So I'm just going to give them a good spray. They have not germinated yet. They're brand new. I just put them in a couple days ago. So watering them like this is just fine. Now what I do with these in the evening time is I put them in here, which is my tabletop greenhouse. As you can see, I have some in there already. And that is working out great, actually, because our night times did get a little bit cold. These are some lyanthus that just look so great. I can't wait to show you these flowers. But when I'm out here and I'm just deadheading and I'm cleaning up the plants, I always have my hose ready. Here are the pots that we planted a little while back, and they're doing fabulous. These snapdragons on this one are doing great. These are flower buds, all getting ready to flower. But if we go down a little further, we see these pansies right here. This pansy right here has already flowered, and it is getting ready to make a seed pod. You can see it in there. You just snip those off with your fingernails. That is the easiest deadheading I know how to do. Now this pansy, instead of trying to make seeds, it's going to be making flowers for me. The best way to figure out how to deadhead is, do you see this faded flower? Just follow it back to its stem, its original place, and then take it off. I know there can be some confusion about, is it a seed pod or is it actually, the leaf bud forming in there? So if you find the dead flower, just try to stick with that until you can figure out which one's which. This is the pot that I wanted to show you what's going on. Now these plants are about the same age. These are flower buds. These are seed pods, these big bulky ones. Easy to tell because the seeds are usually down at the bottom and the flowers are usually up here at the top. So what I'm going to do is get my clippers, and I'm going to cut that guy off down about here because he'll start growing a new bush down there. Here's another one. This one is completely spent, so we're going to trim that one off too. Look around to see if you see any more. These pink ones are just doing phenomenal. And these nasturtiums, let me see if I can find some seeds. The thing about nasturtiums is that they don't last in the summertime. But right over here are a bunch of seeds. Can you see them? Now I could pick those off and it would cause this plant to be a little bit stronger. You see there's more down in here. But because I know this plant isn't going to last much longer, I'm going to go ahead and leave the seeds on, and I'm going to come back through here and I'm going to harvest them. So I'll have plenty of seeds in January just to poke back in here. This is a flower that hasn't opened yet. I have some really nice pots over here, and they're looking kind of dry. I think I better water everything in the garden today. But as you can see, this nasturtium is just looking a little weary. I don't know if a cat sat in here or what happened, but the leaves are starting to turn yellow. It might be at the end of its life, but I don't think so. So I'm going to drop some fertilizer down in here. I'm going to water it really well. And then let's see, we'll see if it pops up a little bit. Right behind it is a really healthy one. Let me show you so you can see the difference. See how those leaves are nice and bright and green, and it just looks a little more vigorous? That's what we want this one down here to look like too. We're out here in the courtyard, and I was out here yesterday checking out this bird bath, and I'm going to be doing a video with this bird bath. Absolutely gorgeous way to set up bird baths in your garden. But what I noticed is there was some mosquito larvae. And like a dodo bird, I dumped all the mosquito larvae down in here. So mosquito larvae can live in, damp places. So I'm going to take some of these mosquito bits and I'm going to toss them over here, because I know their sprinklers are going to come on. There's going to be more water. And I can guarantee you those mosquitoes are living down inside of those plants. Now, I normally don't do this, but just for this one time, I'm going to put some of these bits inside of my bird bath. They are organic. They won't hurt the birds in any way, shape, or form. So that's why I'm okay doing it. But I need to make sure that I'm not causing mosquitoes in the garden. And if you'll walk over this way with me, here are the front steps. And I noticed that these pansies, boy, are they looking terrible. Now, I was out here the other day and I watered them really nice, but see how they're hanging down? They just look terrible. These are perfect just to come in here, snip these off. This is deadheading at its finest. And this one. Oh, it's closed up and it's just not doing any good. Now, doesn't that plant look so much better? That's what I mean by having an amazing garden and having just an okay garden. These look all fresh and happy and tidied up, even though there's not as many flowers. So we've got a couple back here. I think this one, definitely this one. And this is how your garden is going to stay so fresh looking. These wonderful hanging baskets that are right outside my living room window, they're doing so great because we just repotted them. They're full of petunias. Now, right down in here, I'm going to snap that petunia off of there because it's dead and it's getting ready. And see down in here, this dead leaves. This is actually, I think, a dead flower. I want to get that stuff out of there because it takes away from the freshness of these beautiful plants. I see another one. Let's see if I can get in there. Oh. Follow the flower down to right below, and you take off that bottom part. That's where the seed is going to want to try to form. When these Gerbena daisies get tired, I'll come through and I'll cut them way down in here. Here's your dead flower, and then we're going to snip it right back right behind that flower head. Petunias will absolutely grow without you deadheading them, and they'll grow beautiful. It won't slow down their growth. But when they're this small, I like to get in there and clean them up and make them absolutely beautiful. We have our beautiful little patch of flowers over here by the driveway, but this petunia is done, so I'm going to clip him off. And on the calendula, you see how bright and fresh this flower is right here? And then you've got this one. All of those little green things in there, those are seed heads. So we want to get that off of there. Now this one is brand new, fresh, just coming alive. So this is what it would look like. That's definitely a seed head. When the season gets a little later, I'll start saving some of these seed heads. I'll let them go all the way to seed, and then I'll start collecting them so I can have seeds for next year. But here, let me get that guy off of there. And then remove whatever you can with what's dead because that makes it look much fresher. Now on this petunia, here's a little flower that died, so let's go ahead and snap him off. But this right here, this flower is budworm damage. And you can tell there's little holes, half of the flower's gone. And I imagine the little budworm is probably right down inside there. I'm not going to take him off. What I'm going to do is after I get some more of these spent flowers off, I'm going to spray all of this with BT because these petunias are extra delicious when it comes to budworms. Do you see this one here? That is a budworm. And it will come back tonight and it will have a feast on the rest of that flower. And see, it's actually gotten into this one as well. My big jug of BT, this is a dedicated container. That's all I ever keep in here is the BT. And basically, I'm just going to soak them. The calendulas do not need to be sprayed because they're not susceptible, but all of these petunias definitely do. These are young plants, and I'm trying to give them an opportunity to get as big and strong as possible. When they get really big and they're super mature, I won't need to baby them as much. I will need to spray for budworms, though, because they'll just get worse and worse. These beautiful lavender plants are just abuzz with bees. I kind of scared them off. They'll be back in a minute. But they are almost finished. As you can see, this is just the end. Now I will come through and I'll cut these down probably till about here, and then it'll put up a whole new crop. But there's a bee right back here. Here he comes. I don't want to take off any of this right now because the bees are still getting pollen from them. And as long as that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and leave those on there. You got a peek into how I have fun in my garden. I love being out here. I love getting a little bit dirty. I just bring my gloves, my clippers, and my hat sometimes, and I just go through my garden and just tidy up the plants. Keeping debris away from your plants is a wonderful thing to do. It keeps the bugs down. And did you notice the difference? It was amazing. Just taking off those dead old flowers causes so much beauty for your plant, and it'll keep your plant very vibrant. Your plant won't be struggling to make all of those seeds. I hope you'll subscribe and keep coming back to the channel because I am going to give you all the tools you need to have an absolutely amazing garden. There's always so much to talk about in the garden, you guys. But thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.